YouTube. How you guys doing? So today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic to me, and one that I think hits upon a lot of people, and that's the phrase that people say, and that we've all heard that old adage that drummers aren't really musicians. And we know the joke. What do you call a person who hangs out with musicians? And the answer is a drummer. I want to talk about this a little bit because it's interesting, because there's no question in my mind, and should there be a question in anybody's mind, even though it might just be known and people don't want to admit it, drummers are absolutely musicians, and they're great musicians. I'll just talk about my background briefly. I'm a composer, I am an arranger, I play the piano, I play other instruments. There's no question that I have music in my blood. The question was, what was I going to do? What was I going to play? So, just like any youngster, as a child, my father wanted me to follow in his footsteps and play saxophone and play piano and play some of the things that he did. So I, started taking piano lessons, and I just didn't like it. I knew that how important it was. I think I realized that, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like the teachers. It wasn't anyone's fault. It wasn't my family's fault. It was just me. I started playing saxophone shortly after that. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. So I got to the point where I was old enough. I was about maybe 9 or 10 years old. I was a drummer, who just played. I didn't read music. I didn't want to read music. Even when I started taking drum lessons shortly after, I did not want to read any music. I just wanted to play. It got to the point where I was about 14 years old, and I was only able to really do so much. And I was like trying to get by without reading, and I just couldn't do that anymore. And I knew this was all I was really doing. I figured it was time to buckle down and really learn how to do it. So I was fortunate to have some great, additional teachers who helped me in my prime as a upcoming musician, as a budding musician. And I obviously learned how to read music, drum music and, mallet music and stuff like that. But at that whole time, I really didn't play piano or do a whole lot of things like that. I just did, I just played percussion and played drum music, and that was it. I didn't really start playing piano until I was a music education major in college. And that's where I really started to learn how to play and sort of understand a lot of this stuff. So my background is different. I also discovered that I had perfect pitch, at a young age. So, I was able to kind of put these things together, but I didn't want to play a melodic instrument, oddly enough. I just wanted to play the drums. And I just learned as being a music teacher and being, and going on the job that, I just started practicing piano a little bit more, and then it just got a little bit more easy. And I wasn't somebody that played the piano originally. That's my point. If I had started playing the piano or playing something melodic and then played the drums, I think it would have been a different situation. But I wasn't like that. And even though I took lessons when I was younger on piano and on saxophone, it wasn't really something that I was passionate about. I was passionate about drumming. That's what I was passionate about. And then I ended up picking up everything else after that, much after that. So there is time for you to do that. If you're somebody who's played drums for a long time and you want to learn how to do it, you absolutely can. There's also this adage that people talk about where people, drummers don't read music. And, there's a lot of people that don't read music. I get that. I understand that there's drummers that will never read music very well. And that's okay, because some people just may not like reading music, and I was lucky that I was able to learn how to do it, but it's not easy, and it's not easy for some people to learn, and there's people that go their whole lives and they don't do it. I've been to so many gigs where there's no music. There's like, hey, here's the chart, of like here's the lead sheet. Read the lead sheet, and has the melody and has the chords on it, but there's no drumming, there's no ensemble hits or anything like that. So I'm just, what I'm left with? Drummers are left with their ears. If you're listening to the actual musicians that are playing with you and you're doing things that work with them, you've done your job as far as I'm concerned. Drummers have to listen. So even if you're not reading music, even if you're somebody that doesn't read music very well, you've tried and maybe it's just not for you, don't feel bad. You're listening when you're playing on a job. You're playing with other musicians and you're listening and you're blending in and playing what's right with the band. You're playing what's right with what your conductor wants to do, or whoever the band leader is. You're playing for them. And even though you may not be reading music, you know, even if you know how to read music and there's just no music that they can give you, or they didn't think about it, or they called you, you know, a half an hour before the job and they didn't have time to give it to you, you're listening. Use your ears. Drummers are musicians. Hope this video has been helpful to you guys. I think some people will enjoy it. Take care.